everyone, welcome back to my channel. We are pretty much at the end of August now, so it's time for me to wrap up the Royal Readathon. You can see my TBR there and my first update post there. So I'm not going to sort of cover any of the stuff I talked about in those videos. I'm just going to pick up where I left off, which was with Paddington Helps Out by Michael Bond, which was one of the Paddington Bear books, and I chose this for the chip prompt read a children's or middle grade book. I don't have a lot to say about this one. I gave it 4 stars. It's cute, it's wholesome, it's Paddington Bear. What more can you ask for? This is kind of a comfort read. It's the sort of thing I turn to when I'm feeling a bit down, which I was a couple of weeks ago when we'd first gone back into lockdown, and it did exactly what I needed it to do, and I enjoyed it a lot. After that, I read Shadowblack by Sebastien de Castell. So this wasn't on my TBR. I was going to read Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo for the prompt about greed, the Abu prompt. But then my friend who I had borrowed it from asked to get it back from me for a video that she was filming, and then we went into lockdown, and so I can't get that back off her just yet. So the reason I felt that Shadowblack fits into the greed category is basically the character of Rakis, who is what they call in this world a squirrel cat. He is kind of like a cross between like a giant mangy cat and a sugar glider, and he's nasty and he's greedy and he's a thief and he's fantastic. Like, he's one of the main characters. He would murder you if you called him a sidekick, but that's kind of what he is. And anyway, this ended up really fitting the prompt because the whole sort of the villain in this particular book, this is the second book in a series, he's all about greed. He's a con man, and he's got this whole system going on to control people for money. So that ended up fitting in quite well. I'm really enjoying this series. It's the Spellslinger series. It came very highly recommended from a friend. And I borrowed the first book off him a while ago, and it took me so long to read it that he forgot who he'd lent it to and bought himself a replacement copy. Oops. So I didn't want to take as long to read this one. So I'm really, the one thing I really enjoy in this series, it's like really good found family trope. Just the characters, just the dynamics between them. I'm really enjoying it. I haven't really found a YA series lately that's really worked for me in that way, so I am very glad I've started on this one. Enjoying it a lot. This one also got 4 stars, so as did the first book in the series, so definitely keen to keep going with that one. The last book that I actually finished for this readathon was The Court of Miracles by Kester, which I'm so glad to have finally read this because it's been on like half a dozen of my TBR videos, maybe not half a dozen, but this was definitely not the first time. So this was very much sold as like a reimagining of Les Miserables, and I appreciate that that's where the author took her inspiration from, but I think that maybe it shouldn't have been sold as that, and that maybe she shouldn't have used the character names from Les Mis, and she should have just made it her own rather than having those connections, because honestly I found them a bit distracting, and you could have had exactly the same story without them. Just set it in a fantasy world, have this sort of court system set up. That's the thing, it actually felt like it wasn't, I didn't feel like I was in 19th century Paris or an alternate 19th century Paris where the revolution had failed. I just felt like I was in a fictional fantasy world. So that was one of the things that sort of made me feel that the Les Mis connection didn't really work. There were also a few other aspects I found confusing. There was a time jump between parts 3 and 4, and like a lot of stuff had clearly happened in that time that we didn't see, things like that. So overall, I mean, I still enjoyed it. It was very easy to read. I liked the characters. I gave it 3 stars. But I don't think, to be honest, that I will be reading the rest of the series. I don't feel compelled to pick up where this story left off and keep going with these characters, unfortunately, because I did have really high hopes for this one, but it didn't quite meet them. Last but not least, I'm still actually reading this on Sunday the 29th when I am filming this video, but hopefully by the 31st I will have pretty much finished it. I'm reading Geekerella by Ashley Poston, which is which I chose for the Gus Gus prompt for a cheesy book. I'm about little under a third of the way through at the moment. So far, I actually like Darian, the male point of view character and the love interest, more than I like Danielle, who's the sort of Cinderella figure. I don't know, I'm just feeling a bit more into his story and finding him a bit more relatable than Danielle. I'm hoping that Danielle will grow on me as the story progresses, and hopefully a lot of the reason she's annoying me is because she doesn't know things about Darian that I know, and she's making big assumptions about him, and I'm hoping once she meets him and starts realizing that she was wrong about a lot of those assumptions that that she will grow on me. That's my hope. I think I'm gonna really enjoy this though. I hope so. Well, the step family feels a bit over the top, but I don't know. Like, to me, they're just mean for the sake of being mean. It doesn't seem realistic, but maybe that's just me. But that's my only real issue so far, apart from what I said about Danielle. And yeah, hoping I will very much enjoy this one. So those are the books that I finished for the readathon. The only ones I ended up missing out on were the Pegasus prompt, which was to read a book about mythology. And I did actually start reading Oracle by Jackie French, which was the book I had in my TBR for that prompt. Realised pretty early on that it was not really working for me, so I decided to DNF it. And then I ended up getting Song of Achilles for my birthday, so I was going to read that, but haven't got around to it. And the only other book was the Mushu prompt to read a book with a dragon, and I was going to read High Fire by Owen Colfer. Didn't get there either. All up, I read 11 books this month, which I'm pretty excited about because that is the most books I've read in a month for a really long time. Not all of them were readathon prompts, obviously, but yeah, I've been pretty pleased with that and going to continue to actively make time for reading, which is what I've been doing this month and how I've gotten through so much. So I'm not planning on doing any readathons in September, but I'm hoping to find a suitable October Halloweeny one to take part in. That'll be good fun. Maybe the Hocus Pocus readathon again. I'm not sure if that's running. I'll have to check it up. But yeah, I'll let you know whenever I do another video. See you then.